Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Caccera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Caccera.
Welcome in, Joe Caccera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you for those that are following us on Facebook. We appreciate that very much. We continue to do everything we can to expose the show to more people, more ways to listen, watch, and certainly that's one way is on Facebook to watch the live feed. So just kind of a quick update for those that follow the show. Mondays, we really try to stick to a schedule during the week for the people that follow the show. So the live show we do Mondays right around 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're right around 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And we try to stick to that schedule as much as we can. However, the best thing to do is download the podcast. So if you haven't done so, we'd love to have you download the podcast. And you could do that at many different places. You go to iTunes and just type in Real Estate Radio Live. You could go to Stitcher, Google+. You could even go to our website, of course, at reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. You could download the podcast there as well. The focus, as most of you know, if you've been following the show for almost 8 years, is education and information. What I mean by that is we work really hard to have great guests like today, content information to deliver to you, to the consumer, with really the main objective is to educate you on real estate in all aspects of real estate, whether it's buying, selling, financing, building, constructing. There's all kinds of things about real estate and the community as well. We do quite a few shows on giving back. We do shows on aspects of how we could help in the communities, and we'll continue to do that. We believe at Real Estate Radio Live here that, certainly it's a real estate radio show. However, everything we do is related to the community, and real estate is related to the community. So we'll continue to do that. Let me invite my guest in today. Happy to have Eva Melgarejo. Is that how it is? I know I'm going to butcher this up again, Eva. I apologize for that.
Hi.
How are you? Nice to have you. Nice to connect. How are you today, Eva?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for taking the time. We're excited to have you on the show. As I was mentioning in the lead-in when I started the show, Eva, we like to educate and inform the consumers. We're big fans of that. We also have a big following of the real estate community and lending community with the show, but the majority is consumers, and we love to educate them on topics and what's going on in a lot of the community. So this is just a great, great topic. Let's get started if we can, Eva. Tell us a little bit about your background and then how you got hired at New American Funding, and we'll take it from there.
Absolutely. So I came to New American Funding. I was actually recruited to come and work with Patty Arvielo, who's our co-founder and president at New American Funding, to really bring to light her company and her persona into the Latino community. As a Latino leader, she really wanted to make sure that our community was aware of the services that she offered and within the initiative of Latino Focus. So Latino Focus is Patty's baby from 2013, and it's been a great initiative to really go out and educate the Latino community. So I was brought on board to help her out, and while I was here, I've been working with the Hispanic community for the last 10 years, and was able to bring in my expertise and really position New American Funding in the LMI communities around California and also across the nation, build a very strong alliance with one of our partners, nonprofits, which is the NAREB, National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. And we've been doing an amazing job hand in hand with them. So super excited to be a part of the mortgage industry. Again, I come from the community relations and PR space, so it's been quite a wonderful experience.
Well, this sounds like a perfect fit for you. So welcome again. So you're the Director of Multicultural Affairs there at New American Funding, and you work directly with Patty, and we'll get into more about that as well. Give the audience, if you will, Eva, a little bit of an overview. Someone might be listening to the podcast or here live on Facebook thinking, what is multicultural? They may know the word and what it means, but kind of bring it together with lending and why it's so important. You mentioned briefly how the importance of Patty and the focus and the time and energy she brings to it. She brought you in. You guys are teaming together and doing some wonderful things. But maybe explain to the person that doesn't know much about the importance of this and why it's so important that we work hard to get this exposure out and bring awareness to it.
Absolutely. Embracing the multicultural space is not only vital to our business, but really it depends on the success of our company is going to depend on the amount of work that we're doing in those communities. And by multicultural, we're talking about the African American community, the Latino community. It's really embracing the diversity and the ethnic groups in the nation and understanding what are their needs. How can we support them? How can we assist with some of the issues that they're facing when it comes to access to becoming a homeowner? Every community has their own challenges, and for us at New American Funding, it's very important to really go out there and understand not just being bilingual, but also bicultural. How does that culture behave? It's not enough to speak the language, but really understand the nuances of that particular demographic. So within my role, I assist in identifying those challenges within the communities, working with community leaders, and providing a solution for that.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. If we're working within the Latino community and we are meeting with the mayor of a particular city and they're letting us know, we have a certain amount of funding available, but we just haven't been able to market that to the community, then what we do is partner up with them and create workshops that will educate on the process of home buying and also on the benefits that the city may have available for that potential home buyer. So for us, the Multicultural Initiative is really an opportunity to educate. It becomes a platform to go and build grassroots events to educate around home buying.
Yeah, that's perfect. And, not only the social responsibility to be socially responsible, but it goes a little deeper, and you covered it pretty well, and we'll continue to discuss this, and that is a lot of companies and a lot of people say, we either post things and we use our marketing material to say that we're conscious of this and socially acceptance, but a lot of that is, in my opinion, and you could speak more to it because you're in the middle of every day, almost window dressing or very superficial. In other words, you're, along with Patty and her initiatives, are taking it deeper. So we not only, we walk the talk, we're out there and we're meeting with these people, finding out what their needs are. And one of the things that I remember when you and I spoke, I don't know, maybe it was a month ago before we were talking about having you on the show, I want you to talk a little bit about is the perception, unfortunately, Latino, whether it's the minorities, their perception sometimes of just the way society is, in that you gave me some examples how some people are surprised that they have no idea that they even have an idea to qualify for a home, right? Talk a little bit about what you run up against and some of the stuff you see when you're meeting face-to-face with these people that you're able to help.
Absolutely. So just to give you a little bit of background on the power of Latinos in the U.S., if we were to be a country, if Latinos were to be their own country, we would be the 7th largest economy in the world. And that is, our GDP represents $2.13 trillion, which means that our GDP would be larger than that of Italy, Brazil, India, and Canada. And that's just to give you an idea of the purchasing power that we have in the U.S. as Latinos. We are expected to be 52% of home buyers by 2030.
Wow.
So, what more reason do you want to understand how this group behaves so that you can service them, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Eva, why would companies, societies, business is a smart business. You just cited the statistics and the reasons why as a company you need to educate your sales force, your workforce, everybody involved that as a business and what the opportunities hold. But there's certainly business opportunities, and there's the social benefits, and there's a social responsibility. But why is it that so many companies maybe, on the surface do a little bit of this, but don't go as deep as you and Patty and some companies like New American does? Is it just they're not quite thinking they're ready yet, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think that we haven't realized, as a nation, we really haven't realized the power and the forecast of Latinos in the U.S. So I was actually reading a report earlier. It was an article by the Washington Post when they're talking about by 2020, so this is in a couple of years, 40% of the workforce will be Latinos. What does that tell you? But if we're so focused on producing the loan today and what our units are at the end of the year, as opposed to taking a look into what happens in the next 5 years, what's the next wave, what's the next demographic that we need to service. So basically being ahead of the curve. And I think that that's one of the reasons why New American Funding is so successful, because you have leadership that is really taking a look at what's coming in the future and how do we prepare for it.
Yeah, well said.
What is the next wave of home buyers? So we know what the situation is with the baby boomers, right?
Right.
I'm sure that we're going to see a big spike on reverse mortgages. But then what happens with the new consumer? Who is the new consumer? What do they need? If we're looking at 40% of the workforce in a couple of years is going to be Latino, then would it behoove us as a company to have a strong Latino workforce so that we can service those communities?
Right. Can you be a little specific on the objectives and maybe the initiatives that are underway at New American Funding that you guys are part of? I mean, obviously going out to community events and maybe hosting different events and education. I know we're doing a lot of stuff online. I know Rick and Patty both are really supercharged and excited about a lot of so give the listeners some examples of some of the stuff that New American's doing along with what you guys as a team.
Absolutely. With our Latino Focus Initiative, we have a two-prong approach, basically. We have a consumer-driven initiative or part of the initiative, and then the other would be educating our business partners. How do we go out and educate our realtors on what are some of the challenges that the community is facing and what are some of the options out there, and how do we educate and assist on building policy to service those needs. So that's the side of building those events with Latino Focus, where we may go into a city, have Patty and Rick speak about the cultural nuances of this group, and then how do we address them. And those events are absolutely complimentary for all the attendees, and there's a networking component of it. And then we have the community engagement, the grassroots. So it's not just educating the consumer on, by the way, here are some of the challenges that you tend to face. This is where you want to pay attention, and let's help you build a road plan for your purchase in maybe 6 months, but also assisting those communities to empower those communities through the education of becoming a home buyer. Yeah. So those are two big initiatives. This year, we were able to, like I said, align with NARB in approximately 65 events nationwide, and we had an exposure of about 16,000 business partners. And that's just the B2B side of Latino Focus. And we're just talking right now about Latino Focus. We also have our New American Dream Initiative, which is composed of internally about 22 loan officers and branch managers working on the same strategy. What are the issues in the community? How do we supply an answer to them?
Right. Very good. We're going to take a quick break in just a minute or so. But before we do that, if someone's out listening, of course, live, or later on they're listening to it via the podcast, and they want to reach out or contact you about New American Funding or some of the initiatives, or maybe they want to pick your brain or find out more about what you guys are doing and some of the success, what's the best way for people to reach you?
Email or my cell phone. I'm always on my cell phone. Feel free to send me a text.
Okay.
So cell phone, 323-528-4233. And my email, I'm sure that we can type it somewhere. It's a little long because it's first name and last name.
That's right. All right. Very good. All right. We're going to take a quick break with Eva. She's with New American Funding, the Director of Multicultural Affairs, and we're talking about multicultural lending, a little bit about the community, social responsibility, and much more. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. For those that are watching us live on Facebook, stick with us. We're just going to take a quick 1-minute break. We'll be back with you in just a minute. Thanks.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
How would you like the opportunity to secure a record low interest rate while buying and or selling your home? In addition, how would you like to save 20% or more on your entire real estate transaction? Finally, how would you like to bundle all your real estate services in one location? Well, now you can achieve this with BundleSelect.com. That's right, save on real estate lending and title. With BundleSelect.com, technology and a personal concierge are at your service to save you time and money. BundleSelect's hand-picked team of experts will save you thousands of dollars by bundling real estate lending and title services. BundleSelect.com gives you all the control, including using your own realtor. I'm Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, and I have been on the radio educating consumers for years. I'm here to tell you BundleSelect.com is the best way to save money on real estate. By bundling services, you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Visit BundleSelect.com.
The estimated minimum savings are based on a comparison with the national average. Individual results may vary, and the estimated savings are not guaranteed. Bundle Select Inc. is a licensed real estate broker. California Bureau of Real Estate Broker license number 004666902. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you again for those that are following us live on Facebook. We appreciate that very much. We continue to grow the audience in many different ways. For almost 8 years now, the focus has been education and information, and thousands of people download the podcast each month. And I want to thank those that continue to follow the show and write us wonderful emails and contact us about a lot of different things. By the way, I'll always throw out there, if anyone out there is listening to the show and they'd love to hear a topic related to real estate, anything at all, like today's a very unique topic about multicultural lending and how that affects our communities and what we're doing about it. The social responsibility. What are companies doing about it? What are we doing about it? Well, here's one example. Eva is with us, and she is the Director of Multicultural Affairs with New American Funding. She was brought on specifically to help Patty and Rick in their initiatives at New American Funding, who I know are very, very serious about what they're doing and bringing awareness to this very important topic. So, Eva, tell us a little bit about the, kind of the face-to-face when you're out there meeting with the people. It may surprise people, but I think it's the reality is I'd love to hear from you about, I feel like there's this lingering stereotype or cloud kind of hovering over minorities in some sense that whether it's marketing, whether it's, media, whether it's, I don't care what it is, there is still this stigma to a certain extent of, is it really possible for a large group of minorities to achieve the dream of home ownership? Talk a little bit about what you see out there and hopefully what's changing.
Absolutely. And I'll give you a couple of examples. I've actually, because of how wonderful is the ability to have an impact in our communities and be able to have a say on who owns a piece of America. Mm-hmm. I actually got my license as a loan officer, and I started to really go out there and hold the hand of that potential home buyer and really understand what their experience was. And it's very different, right, to sit behind a desk and just kind of read statistics and try to push out content and have the conversations versus being out in the community and hearing it firsthand from that potential buyer. Well, let me tell you, Joe, this idea that we as Latinos do not have money, it's so far from reality,
right.
Especially as we look at the tendencies that we have as a group. Mm-hmm. We are naturally entrepreneurs.
Yep.
We Latinos in the U.S., we made up 86% of all new businesses in the last decade. 86% of all new businesses were launched by Latinos. So think of all those scenarios that you have when you take a look at taxes, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe on your tax you have somebody that is saying, well, yes, I made $120,000, but I had $90,000 on expenses. Mm-hmm. But when you actually have the conversations, there's an array of reasons why taxes are presented that way. So it really requires that conversation and understanding, okay, why are you doing this? I can give you an idea, but tell me why exactly are you doing this? Because you're clearly making the money. So let's not let the media drive or really the stereotype of the community, but really let's dig in there and understand what is reality in our particular areas. You may be going to a city like Fresno, and the Latino community will behave very differently than what they will behave in Chicago. Chicago is the second largest Latino Mexicans exclusively population in the nation. But that's a different type of Latino. You go into Texas, and Texas is going to have more of a second and third generation Latino, which has already built wealth because of the length of time that they've had in the U.S. versus a state like California that we're just so close to the border that you still have first-generation Latinos as the majority of the Latinos in California.
Yeah.
So it's very different. It really deserves for us as loan practitioners to take the time and understand who is that audience that we have at our fingertips.
Yeah, well said. I'm going to talk a little bit now and ask you, Eva, so from, again, the largest group of the listenership on our show are, consumers, but we do have a pretty good following on the real estate community. So talking directly to the consumer, you have this audience in the mic, so to speak, right now. Why does it make a difference for a consumer to know that they have a better chance of working with someone at New American Funding in the area of, the multicultural lending and some of the things that we're doing? Obviously, you just stated a lot of reasons why, but as a consumer's looking around, they're online, they're talking to friends and family, talk directly to the consumer first, why it's important to work with a company like New American Funding on the home ownership and the dream of that.
I would say that, number one, we have an extraordinary leadership that is always available to us as employees of New American Funding. So there's no gap, there's no communication gap between leadership, the president, who's Patty Arvielo, and Rick, all the way to our PAs, to our marketing assistants. We are all very invested in making sure that we're driving the dream of homeownership to that goal line. So just as involved as a loan officer will be with our program, so is our marketing rep.
Right. The education, I think you spoke of, really, for me, that's a big deal. And, of course, probably because it's a pet peeve of mine. I mean, the reason I started the show is I'm a huge fan of education and information. I love the fact that all of us, could always learn. We could always be educated, that no one could take that away from us. That's what I love. One of the things I love about this format, having this audience, having this vehicle, and what you guys do is there's so much power in that and sharing that. And that's what I see at New American Funding, too, is constant education. And you talked earlier about getting in front of the curve and really putting a lot of time and energy and resources. And that's, that's apparent. So I want to congratulate you for that. How about those that are listening to the show that are real estate agents or loan officers? From a partnership perspective, what should real estate agents know that are listening to the show, why they should work with loan officers or why they should work with their clients with New American Funding when it comes to helping on the financing side?
And we're talking about loan officers. Why should loan officers work with New American Funding?
Yeah, that, and then, also, secondly, maybe why speak to the real estate agent out there that's listening. Why would a real estate agent, what would the difference be of them partnering with someone at New American Funding on the financing side?
I really believe that it's the model that we have, our business model. We're not only a company that is founded by a loan originator, right? Patty Arvielo, and making sure that the process is flawless, but also the fact that we are really committed to educating a community and that we really care about that consumer, that we don't believe that there's an impossible, but we do believe that there is a way of staying top of mind with that potential buyer and assisting them in the process, where it may not be, let's say it's not a transaction that's going to solidify within the next 45 days, but that doesn't mean that we discard that buyer. For us, that buyer is as valuable as that who we're going to be investing 6 months, 12 months into the process. So the fact that we're so genuine and that we have that culture and that commitment to our communities, I think that it positions us in a very solid place in the market.
Yeah, yes, it does. What is the future as we sit here today, Eva, as we're closing out 2018, rolling into 2019 here soon? What does the future look like for multicultural lending? Is there much of the same what we're doing today? Would you look at today and go, you know what, Joe, I think we're going to be doing this, this, and this, or these are some of the things you might see in the future? Can you give us kind of maybe a 30,000-foot view of what this might look like, as we move forward the next 3 to 5 years?
Absolutely. We are continuing to recruit within our different initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
And by domino effect, if we recruit those top loan officers in those specific communities, then they're going to be servicing those communities. So not only on the recruitment side are we going to be paying a lot of attention and also making the investment, but also in the community involvement. So we're looking into, just for 2019, we're looking into aligning with a couple of national associations for our New American Dream Initiative and continuing our partnership with NARP and potentially a couple of other media groups in the Latino community as well. So it's a matter of continuing to grow that. Currently, about 25% of our business goes to the Latino community of our funding. And it reflects on the loan officer side. About 24% of our loan officers are Latinos, so there's a direct correlation on the loan officer, which is the part that services that community, and the response of the community. And of course, we need to pay more attention to it and continue to grow with more events annually, more grassroots initiatives so that we can service that 52% of new homeowners that are just right around the corner.
Right. No, I think it's well said. And, as we close out today, too, New American Funding, I want to say, I could get this wrong, started in 2003, a tremendous amount of growth, and a tribute to Rick and Patty and the executive team, being part of New American Funding myself for the last 2.5+ years. It's a company built on relationships, pride, culture, and a lot of wonderful people serving the community, and really, from the top down, and you had mentioned, and continue. I mean, it's amazing the amount of growth. I think we're in 40+ states, and for a company that just started, was it 2003, 2004, something like that when they started?
Yes, I believe 2003.
Yeah. I mean, that's an amazing amount of growth, and now one of the largest national bankers in the United States. And a lot of that is because of some of the stuff that you're talking about here today. Certainly, our focus today, Eva, was on multicultural lending and how important it is in the society and around that. But let's face it, as a company, you have to do a lot of things well to grow and succeed, right? And this is one of them. This is certainly a big part of it. And you're kind enough to spend some time and share and, put some light on your expertise on this, which is really important. But I think the bigger picture, what I wanted to share with everybody listening, that New American Funding is doing a lot of things well. And that just doesn't happen by mistake, that you grow that quickly and you have so many wonderful things happening within your company.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate the opportunity. We're very lucky to have talent like you being part of the company and to really be committed to that whole educational aspect that we were talking about. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate it. So real quick before we go, again, someone listening to the show or downloading it later, if they want to contact you, Eva, and they want more information about the company, multicultural lending, maybe how you and your group could help in different societies. Maybe they feel, one of the things I'd love to see is maybe people feel like they're underserved in some areas and they may want to contact you and pick your brain. What is the best way to reach you one more time? My cell phone,
323-528-4233.
Very good. Thank you again for your time and for your expertise. We'll have you on maybe in a couple extra months and give us an update how things are going after the first of the year.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
All right, Eva. Take care.
Bye.
Great gal, doing a wonderful job with New American Funding. Eva, again, is the Director of Multicultural Affairs with New American Funding, and a lot of good information, just kind of a peek in 30, 35 minutes of what's going on and how important that topic is. So as we close out today, again, thank you for those that are tuning in on Facebook. Again, for more information, you can always go to RERL-1581.com. For those, take care. Have a great afternoon.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.